For a very long time now I wanted to make a forest set terrain that is inspired by the areas I like to go for a walk to clear up my mind. Here currently you're seeing 3 clips of some of those places, and by the end of this tutorial the end result of the forest is going to be a combination of all of those places, and I'm really excited. Now let's start the project by cutting up some MDF board. I'm roughly shaping out the area, again roughly cutting it out, and going to be building up on top of the board later on. Now once the board is cut, I started applying some styrofoam on top of it. The styrofoam is going to be the foundation for my forest. It's going to be the heel and all the raised areas. So right now I'm just roughly eyeballing where I want it to be, and later on I'm going to start filling up the gaps, adding some more texture, basically adding more levels and interesting parts to the styrofoam. And as you can see here, while building up the foundation I was using a lot of offcuts, trying to make it as random as possibly could. Now to start making it looks much more interesting to the eye, I am going to glue on a big piece of rock that I found on the beach. I glued it on all of the forests to emulate these rocky formations that you usually find at the edge of the cliff. As for all the sides of the styrofoam, I'm going to be gluing some tree bark to it to imitate the rocky formations. The tree bark are glued with white PVA glue and then stabilized with some super glue, but not a lot, so it doesn't melt the styrofoam. And be sure to let it completely dry overnight or even for 2 days, so that the tree bark doesn't fall off. For big gaps I use some cork, just glued it on to close off any massive open areas. And more cork was applied in between the tree bark and styrofoam to once again hide the perfect cuts of the styrofoam. More rocks were added that I found on the seashore to once again make it much more realistic looking. More rocks were added to random areas, as you can see here, just to make it once again more interesting and natural looking. Now it was very important to time to add the trees to the base, just to see where I'm at and where I can add more rocks or bark so that the trees are not going to be in the way and vice versa. Once again adding more rocks, debris and rubble all over the piece, just to add more eye candy to the terrain piece. Don't be afraid to go back and cut out some styrofoam pieces that you are unhappy with. As far as the project went on, I went back and forth by adding and removing the styrofoam until I was happy with how it was looking out. And as for the cork and tree bark, it's just a matter of taste. Add as much as you please and like, but keep in mind that if you add too much, it's going to be a very rocky formation instead of a deep overgrown forest. Now, once all the rocks and tree bark were completely dry, I went with some papier mâché, grabbed myself some kitchen towels, mixed up some white PVA glue with water and start applying the kitchen towels to any recesses that had massive holes, just to fill them in. You can also use filler, which I'm going to do later on, but for the wider and bigger gaps I decided to cover them up with papier mâché. Now here you see me using filler. Filler is going to be drying a lot longer than papier mâché, but again, it's if you want a smoother transition, then filler is better for this. Now, once the filler is completely dry, mix again white PVA glue with water and start adding it to the entire piece, basically, or where you want it to be. This step is for gluing on the sand. I'm going to be adding different grains of sand, some rougher, some finer. On the edges I am putting the bigger pieces of sand, and then I'm going to come back and just add the very fine grain over it. Again, going to be rotating the terrain piece and adding the sand where I see fit. I'm going to deliberately leave some of areas uncovered with sand, just to emulate this very fine surface, rocky surface. As for the trees, I decided to magnetize them. I put a magnet on the base and then underneath the sand, so they're stuck to the base. They're not going to fall off if not pushed very hardly to the side. Now to go back and give a little bit more level to the piece, I'm picked out some small aquarium rocks, added some more watered down PVA glue, and going to sprinkle the stones on top of it. It's just once again to give the piece some life, some rubble all over it. Now it's time to paint the entire piece in black. You can use a spray can, but I much rather prefer some black acrylic paint mixed with some PVA glue to make basically a sealer. It's going to seal it, all the exposed styrofoam and prevent it from melting. Just mix up some, once again, some black acrylic with white PVA glue and start applying it to the entire piece. Now once the black is fully dried, I went ahead and applied dark umber to the all sanded areas. All debris was covered with it, all the sticks and stones that I applied with the debris, but trying not to touch the stones with it. As for the tree bark areas, I mixed the dark umber with some yellow and decided to experiment here and apply it all over it. But later on I'm going to be covering it up with a different color, so you can skip this step. For the stones, I mixed up some white acrylic with black acrylic and just painted the stones with a very dark gray. Once again, covering up all the stone areas. Now here I watered down the previous dark umber with some water, heavily diluted, and applied it as a wash to the all tree bark areas, because once again I didn't like how it turned out, the color. I was also not careful and added it to some random stones to emulate this dirt effect that you can usually find in actual nature. Once it's all dried, I went ahead and did the exact same thing, but with a very dark green, diluted dark green. But here I was a little bit more conservative, adding it than with the previous color. As for the stones, I grabbed the lighter gray and did a very heavy dry brush all over the piece, all over the stones. Also dry brush with the same color the bark areas, just once again to try and emulate the colors of cliffs. Then I came back with even lighter gray and repeated the process, but being much more conservative with the second and third dry brush. and this is how it looks like at this stage. It looks like a dead wasteland rather than a forest, but that's going to change very soon. Dark green acrylic and start dry brushing it all over the brown areas. Now this is to emulate the greenery and the moss growing on the soil. I was very generous with it, touching some stones here and there, the tree bark here and there, just once again trying to be as random as I could, but keeping in mind that I wanted to cover all the brown parts. Now I came back with a second dry brush. I added a little bit more white to the original green and started to touch some random areas with it, just to make the colors pop a little bit more. Now I came back with even lighter green by adding more white. So basically I did the dry brush of the green 3 times by adding more white each time and touching less and less of the raised areas. But what I did was take out all the grittiness from the base, and what I did here is I diluted the original brown, heavily diluted with water, and applied it to some random corners and edges to bring back this grittiness back to the piece. Also, a little small trick that I like doing is to apply the watered down paint to the stone areas just a bit, and then blend it in with using my finger, which creates this dirty natural look to stones. If you applied too much of the paint and you're not happy with the result while it's still drying, just come back with your fingers and just rub it off and blend it in, as I'm doing here. If it's not coming out, just moisturize your finger a bit with water. Now here I added yellow to the white and green mix, and came back with another dry brush, being very careful not to overdo it, but this is going to make the piece pop by a lot. And here we're going to make a small overview. Now it looks less like a wasteland but more like a forest. As you can see, the last green, yellow, white dry brush that we did actually made it the entire set pop. And when you add trees, now you're going to be seeing that it actually resembles a overgrown forest. Now at this stage I decided to experiment and add AK Interactive dirt to the base. I ended up not liking it, so once it fully dried, I basically washed it with watered down brown and then dry brushed it with a very dark gray. If you don't want any dirt on your piece, just skip this step entirely. It's not worth it. And here you can see me painting over the dirt. I previously said I used the brown. I also used a very heavily watered down green underneath the brown, so it went green and then brown all over it, on top of it. And once it dried, it just gave the dirt a little bit more color. By adding the dirt, I lost a lot of excitement in colors, so I went back with the yellow, green and white mix, and once again dry brushed random areas with it. I also revisited the small pebbles with gray and gave them individually a small dry brush just to make them pop a little bit more, so they stand out from all the green and browns on this piece. I also dry brush with the same gray color all the tree pieces on the piece, the branches and the fallen bark, just to once again give it a little bit more eye-catching colors. Now there's one spot where I like to go to when walking, is this very dense green pond or swamp, whichever you want to call it. And to emulate that, I decided to try this water gel swamp green from AK Interactive, which ended up drying very gloopy like. I didn't like the end result of it. It wasn't translucent as was written on the package, but it looked very similar to the actual place that inspired me to try it. And I would recommend you putting on 2 layers. First layer of the gloop, let it completely dry overnight, and then a second layer on top of it the next day. And of course, in the actual forest there's a lot of vibrant greenery growing everywhere. Different tufts, flowers, grass, you name it. So for this project I used 5 different flocks and tufts scattered around the piece. But if you pay attention to the nature, they usually grow all neatly together. So I tried to put different tufts together to emulate that wild growth. added some yellow tufts near the water effects, because that's how it goes, and in nature, closer to the water areas, there's going to be more colorful plants growing than just grass. And here you have it. I was very happy when I finished it. The project had a lot of bumps on the way, a lot of bumps that actually made it look better, because I had to revisit the areas that I didn't quite like the look of, and tried to repaint it, which made it look even more chaotic and just more eye-pleasing. I tried to set up the terrain for 40k, but you can perfectly well play Infinity on this board too, which I'm actually very excited to play Infinity on it down the line. Yeah, I am really happy with the end result. This was a passion project for me that was sitting on the shelf for too long. I mean, the idea of it. And once I started building the set, it took me 1.5 years to actually finish it and to film it. But yeah, just happy with the result, and I hope this tutorial is going to be helpful for you. I rushed it by the end a bit, but that's how life goes. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you watched until the end, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some helpful tips for you, and hopefully I'm going to catch you in the next one.